let's talk about grading in your tracker. Now, I am on a standards page. I have 2 assessments here. And I want to point out, first of all, that yes, you are perfectly capable of entering scores and just hitting return and having this just enter grades for you. All right, like this. But that is not ideal. And that's not ideal because it doesn't give feedback to the students. It doesn't allow us to see what questions they missed on the assessment. We're missing data in that case. We can look at mastery, but that's all we can do. So unless you're using a raw score assessment and you have a good reason for using a raw score assessment, I wouldn't use this method to put in data. What you can do instead is use something called the performance grader. So this little orange thing right here, this little icon when you hover, is called the performance grader. And when you open it up, you can see the assessment. So here I have the assessment. Here's the first question. I can answer, show what the student answered that question as, and then score the assessment, and then it will record that. Okay. You can also scan within the performance grader, so you can click this and open GradeCam. Hello. You can also, if you had a bubble sheet, this is one without a document. This is a document-based assessment with no document. But it looks like this. It would have the document in the middle if I had one. But it has the bubble sheet over here, so you can put the bubbles in. That's really helpful if, for example, you just can't get GradeCam to work or something like that. But you want all the students' individual responses. That would take forever. But you can do it. All right, and then you can hit score and be done there. Yes, okay. You can delete a score. Let's say that a student got maybe kicked out and it scored their assessment, or something happened for some reason, and you need this student to be able to go back and you need to reopen that test for them. What you can do is highlight the score and click delete on your keyboard, and then follow that up by clicking anywhere else on the screen. And it's going to ask you if you want to delete their responses that they have in there so far. So you may or may not want to do that. Kind of depends on the situation. And you're going to hit confirm. And that will think for a moment, and then it will refresh, and then you know that that's deleted. There is not a fast way to delete an entire column of scores. So just, you shouldn't really have to do that. I will say that for retests, you don't want to delete scores. You want to add another test. So you're going to have to either make a copy of the test or add a new assessment so that you have a new place to enter scores. And that way you can see their growth as well. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to address on this video is in the tracker, scores that aren't yours, which means that you might have some of these little mastery things popping up on your tracker when you first create it, and it wasn't your test. If it's dog-eared, that means that that was a standard that was assessed with someone else. So for example, if you teach math and there's a physics teacher that has some math standards that are covered in his class, you might have one of these little mastery boxes show up and you're going, I didn't assess that yet. So there's not really a way to hide them per se. And the only way that we have available to do that at all is by unlinking other trackers to this one. And you do that by going to the settings cog and deselecting this display scores from other trackers option. But you can only do that for semester because our classes are all set up as semester classes in eSchool, and that means that we're going to have a different tracker in first semester than in second semester. If you uncheck this in second semester, then you're not going to see any of your first semester data show up at all. So you have to leave this checked second semester pretty much. But first semester, you could deselect it, and that's not a big deal. And you can hide any of that stuff that was assessed elsewhere, or even the year before if you have a student maybe repeating. So just wanted to cover that. And those are all things that you can do in your tracker to work with grades.